Okay, good afternoon to every audience. My name is Pra and I will be your MC for today. I would like to welcome everyone to the third webinar sessions of today at ASEAN's Energy and Utilities Digital Week. So this webinar is organized by the Asia Pacific Urban Energy Association or APUEA together with Informa Markets in Thailand. And these sessions we will be discussed under the topic of future urban energy in ASEAN. This event is also powered by the ASEAN Sustainable Energy Week 2021 or ASEW, the ASEAN largest international conference and exhibitions on renewable energy, the EV and the environmental and the energy efficiency, which will be held on the 14th to 16th October 2021 in Bangkok, Thailand. So these sessions, we aim to discuss the urban energy solutions, distributions, consumptions, and digitalizations for future development of sustainable urban energy. Soon you will be hearing about this from the industry experts who are here with us during the 1 hour sessions. So next, please allow me to have a quick notice to the audience that on your screen at the bottom right corner, there is a webinar assistant. Once you click there, you will see the 3 tabs. During this webinar, the live discussions between the audiences is available at the chat tab. So if you wish to ask the questions to our speaker, please leave your questions at the question tab and don't forget to mention our speaker name. Or if you find any problems during the webinar, so you can send your help or message to the help tab over there as well. So without any further delay, please allow me to introduce you to our moderator, Mr. Peter Lundberg. He is the head of the operations at the Asia Pacific Urban Energy Association or APUEA. Mr. Peter, he has extensive experience in district heating and district cooling and also energy efficiency, renewable energy, demand side management, and sustainable urban development. So good afternoon, Mr. Peter. So I would like to pass the floor to you.
Hello, thank you very much for that, Pran. Hello, welcome and thank you for joining our webinar today on the topic Future Urban Energy in ASEAN. This webinar is a part of the ASEAN Energy and Utilities Week 2021. And my name is Peter Lundberg and I'm the head of operations at the Asia Pacific Urban Energy Association. And I will be the moderator of the session. Before we start, I want to thank our session partner, Informa Markets, for creating this event and for having us today. In this session, we will discuss topics that includes highly important building blocks that ASEAN cities can use when designing, developing, operating, and maintaining future energy systems and infrastructure that will meet the growing demand for energy and at the same time fulfill environment and sustainability requirements. The topics included in our 3 presentations today are energy efficiency, digitalization, operation and maintenance, district energy, including district heating and district cooling, system optimization, artificial intelligence, including machine learning. And I just want to remind that there will be a Q&A session in the end, so you as an audience can ask questions to the speakers. And remember to address the question to one of the speakers, if possible. This makes it easier for them to answer. Now I'm going to hand over to our first speaker today, who is Ms. Maria Fedorovicheva, who is a global HVAC product marketing manager at ABB Motion. Maria will talk about the importance of energy efficiency, and she will present on the topic the vital role of high efficiency motors and drives in reducing energy consumption. Welcome, Maria, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you very much for introducing me, and I'm extremely glad to be here and present to you solutions by ABB for improved energy efficiency. I will start sharing my screen shortly, and let's begin. So as Peter said, I represent ABB Motion, and it means that I will be talking about motors who provide motion and the drives controlling motors, as well as about the services for improved energy efficiency and reduced energy consumption. First of all, I would like to introduce ABB to those of you who is not familiar with our company. ABB is a global industry player, a technology leader, and we manufacture and offer products, systems, and services for different kinds of industries, for buildings and for transportation and infrastructure. As said, ABB is a global player, and we operate in over 100 countries globally. We have over 100,000 employees, and we are present in Asia, Middle East, and Africa. Our revenue last year was about 28 billion USD, which gives some understanding about the company scale. But let's move to the essence. So I would like to talk a bit about general trends present in urban energy. And of course, one of the biggest trends, as Peter said, is energy efficiency. And you probably know that there are many different governmental directives and initiatives on improved energy efficiency. And those regulations, they force OEMs as well as property owners improve the efficiency of their products, of the facilities they own, and of course buildings are no exception. At the same time, another very much noticeable trend is population increase, and by 2030 population will reach 8 billion people, and 60% of the population lives in cities. And of course, this is the reason to think more about the sustainable urban environment. And sustainability is another very big trend. Of course, it embraces energy efficiency, but besides energy efficiency, there are also other factors coming under sustainability. For example, wise material usage. And of course, different municipalities, they have their own agenda on sustainability and CO2 emission reduction. Another very big trend you have probably noticed as well is digitalization. The world truly goes digital, and as you have noticed, the usage of smart devices, of wireless connectivity increases substantially day by day, and of course it means that our solutions, they should support this trend, they should support digital. At the same time, I see that young generations, they also expect all the solutions to have some sort of digital capability and follow IoT agenda. And one more trend which truly has effect on urban energy development is increasing living standards. As you know, living standards, they become higher and higher because people expect the indoor environment to be more comfortable, to be much safer than it used to be years ago. And I would like to highlight that drives, motors, and digital services by ABB, they truly help to ensure people's comfort and provide substantial energy savings. But we will talk a bit later about this in the presentation. First of all, I would like to introduce the portfolio of ABB Motion we will be talking about, and we will be discussing how it helps improve energy efficiency. Of course, we have 4 drives in our portfolio, and we start from kilowatts to actually megawatts, meaning that we can cover a very wide range of applications. And talking about urban energy, it can be small HVAC applications inside buildings, and we can end up with huge cooling plants, for example. And within a drives offering, of course, we have digital services as well. Then we also have mechanical power transmission and electrical motors in ABB Motion portfolio. And again, here we cover a very wide power range, meaning very wide range of applications. And together with digital services, we have IC motors, we have NEMA motors, and large motors and generators in our offering. What I would like to highlight is that we have truly innovative motor technologies in our portfolio. For example, synchronous reluctance motor technology, and probably the biggest benefit of this technology is that besides very high energy efficiency, it also offers a very high level of sustainability because it does not have any rare earth magnets in its design. And this is something what we are always emphasizing. So it's also a very sustainable product. And then, as said, we also have a very wide range of services to support our portfolio, and a very wide range of digital services specifically. But let's talk about urban energy a bit more. So, of course, talking about urban environment, buildings is something to focus on. As you can see, building energy use as such, that's about 50% of energy used by an average building goes to HVAC, to heating, ventilation, and air conditioning applications, as well as to water supply systems. And of course, it's wise investing in HVAC energy efficiency improvement, because with this we can substantially decrease the building energy use, but then also energy use of the urban area. So you truly see how important it is to invest in building energy efficiency. And International Energy Agency has reported that about 30% of energy used globally is actually used by buildings. So this is the reason why we are so focused on building energy usage specifically. At the same time, I would like to highlight that besides improving energy efficiency of buildings and HVAC systems in particular, it's also important to look closer at district energy in urban areas, because this is something what can improve energy efficiency and the sustainability of urban area further. And considering drives and motors' role in improving energy efficiency, as you know, motors run different kinds of HVAC applications. They run fans, pumps, compressors, and investing in a motor technology can reach substantial energy savings. I already talked about synchronous reluctance motor technology present in our portfolio, and this technology can offer up to 30% higher part load efficiency in comparison to traditional induction motors with the IE3 energy efficiency level. And I would like to highlight specifically that here we talk about part loads, and as you know, building HVAC systems usually do not operate at 100% load. So we often talk about part load operation. But going further, motors are controlled by drives, and drives in their turn can significantly cut energy usage in HVAC applications. And on average, they can save 20 to 60% of energy used by fans, pumps, and compressors. One more thing I highlighted a bit earlier is that district energy is something to focus on as well, because up to 50% reduced cooling energy consumption can be achieved with district cooling. So centralized cooling generation is much more efficient than cooling generation on site or individual cooling generation. And then, of course, drives and motors, they play a substantial role in district cooling as well, because you always have a cooling plant generating cooling, and you always have compressors there or chillers run by motors and then controlled by drives. So drives and motors, they actually are present in all HVAC and cooling in particular applications. And this is my main message for today, to look closer at what kind of drive technologies you use and what kind of motor technologies you use. Because using the most prominent motor and drive technologies, you can make the highest energy savings in your cooling applications. But then services, digital services is something not to forget about, because digital services, they truly improve the transparency of your HVAC processes and cooling generation in particular. And with the ABB Ability digital services, you can monitor HVAC application performance and see what kind of inefficiencies you have, and of course take actions on eliminating those inefficiencies. At the same time, talking about reliability, some of the applications or some of the buildings supplied with cooling, they are mission critical facilities, and of course we have to ensure the cooling process continuity. So digital services, they are able to significantly eliminate the downtime of your HVAC applications. And then, of course, as said, seeing the inefficiency points, you can optimize the energy consumption, and you can eliminate those points. This transparency gives a very good card to play, I would say, and this is why we keep increasing the number of digital services in our portfolio and the digitalization rate of the sustainable and energy efficient solutions by ABB. So it was quick presentation from my side. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will be waiting for the questions from your side later. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Maria, for providing insight into ABB Motion. And I think it's interesting, to think about that drives and motors and something that is included in our everyday and in many activities that we do. And of course, there are great benefits to choose the most efficient solution for those. And also interesting to hear about the building consuming 30% of global energy, and of course 50% of that is HVAC systems. So it's also interesting to hear on your digital services, and so basically integrating hardware and software. I think is very interesting, and I think we will see more of that in the industry to come. So thank you for that, Maria. Yes, so we will. Our second speaker today is Mr. Guillaume Gimonet from China. He is the COO, Operation Director of Iveco China, and he will share his insights today on the future of operation and maintenance. Guillaume, welcome. The floor is yours.
Hi, Peter. Thanks. Let me share my screen. Okay. So hi everyone. First of all, I would hope everyone keeps healthy and safe in the crisis. Thanks everyone for being there. I'm very thankful to EPUA and Informa for giving us the opportunity to share some thoughts on the future of operations and maintenance in the context of utilities and energy today. I will. It's interesting to follow the presentation of ABB, because I will. It's a little bit the continuation of this with some input from assets and machine. What can we do on the operation and maintenance side? So we will have a condensed discussion on the trends currently emerging regarding O&M, and I will. Very briefly introduce who we are in just one slide, and dive right into the topic. And I will conclude on three short case studies to illustrate the core ideas with some example. So Iveco China is a tech and consulting company focusing on smart O&M. We are originally from France and China, and operating locally from Shanghai, Hong Kong, and Bangkok for the Asian market. As you can see in this map, we're delivering anywhere on the Belt and Road, actually from our Asian base. Our specific strength is our ability to combine I would say, O&M expertise and innovative technologies, which makes us effective in delivering a smart O&M solution to our clients. And that you can see here, there's a client base for infrastructures and utilities market. ASEAN is a very important and dynamic market to us. We have been growing a number of projects in Indonesia, Thailand, Malaysia, Laos, and also Singaporean clients here in China. Usually our clients are owners, operators, or EPC company, operating mostly in water, waste, energy, or more and more as we see a combination of those, because now it's not unusual at all to combine waste and energy, for example. So here is a topic. We've seen a lot of hype regarding the future of O&M. It's primarily driven by exciting developments in information technologies. We've seen many promises, I would say, for operation and maintenance to work magically and being transformed through the power of big data. Sometimes we hear some assumption that predictive algorithm will replace the technician, and all breakdown will be avoided. In fact, this has been very much exaggerated and somehow, let's say, misunderstood. However, there is a real transition taking place, and I will share some practical insights on how we're seeing this fourth industrial revolution taking place and what it means for the O&M worker of tomorrow. So before jumping into the future, I would like to go back 4 years in the past, and share with you some very profound and interesting insight we got from a survey that we ran together with industry and academic partners. And in this survey, we asked simple questions about operation and maintenance to managers with industrial and infrastructure backgrounds. And the conclusion was that far from being seen as purely a cost center, actually maintenance and somehow operations were considered as tightly related to risk management and compliance. That's to say that most managers were considering the discipline in a highly strategic way. That was a big difference with the traditional narrative that puts really cost reduction at the front. The reality is that practitioners believe that cost efficiency is deriving from compliance and effective risk management. And that was a very important takeaway that we brought further in our thinking here. And when we look at some trends, we can see this survey was a good illustration, because we see that there is an increasing complexity and distribution of assets. We used to have a centralized power generation. Now it's more and more spread across various locations, various technologies. It's growing in technical complexity. It's growing in connectedness, and also on the other side, ownership, operation, maintenance tends to be separated between an increasing number of distinct actors as markets are open. And in parallel, of course, the regulatory framework tends to get stricter. It's accompanied by increasing social pressure to demonstrate responsibility and accountability. So all of this, we believe, leads to a cognitive revolution centered on the technician who needs to adapt his or her skill sets and take into account the broader perspective of risks and system thinking in face of this complexifying environment. This brings two big challenges that we believe these are at the core of the future of operation and maintenance. The first one is that traditional system implementation, as it used to be done, it focused too much on traditional IT concerns, and it fails to address the trends that we just highlighted. Traditional implementation focus on admin, cost tracking, workflow, the ERP, I would say, stuff, and less on value creating process of continuous improvement and decision making that are the core of operation and maintenance now. And so these need to be abandoned, we would say, or refocus at the least. And the second one is that the different use cases tends to be disconnected from each others and be subject to what we call techno-determinism. That is the false belief that technology will successfully change the organization in the way it was intended to. For example, to believe that implementing predictive maintenance will automatically improve the bottom line is a kind of a determinism, right? Because it ignores or tones down the other factor that could be strategic or environmental, or it can be, for example, organizational factor. So this needs to be addressed, and hopefully we see some widely available tools and concepts that are already available for this purpose. And we believe they constitute the future of O&M. The most important is, I believe, the ISO 55000 standard. It places the assets and the organization at the heart of the strategic thinking. And it's well in line with the trends we just mentioned, especially the link with risk management. And at Civico China, we distilled this standard into 5 practical steps that we are applying systematically to all our projects. As you see, is to define the strategy, know the assets, define the maintenance plan, accompany the execution, and use the collected data to analyze and improve. If we work this way, we're having more chances to capture the value that is generated by very good technologies that can be implemented. And with the ISO 55000 as a conceptual foundation, the second idea is to acknowledge for the interactions, also mentioned in the previous presentation rightly, between expert systems while keeping the O&M technician at the core. That's why we put at Civico China, we put a strong emphasis on mobility at the main contact point between the worker and the information system. The mobile should be the tool for from where the operation and maintenance technician can activate the 5 steps we just mentioned. He should be able to review the asset situation, to operationalize the maintenance plan, input feedback, verify some key metrics. While the back office will ensure the consistency with other systems and the overall compliance with the regulatory framework with ISO 55000 and other relevant standards. So let's now move to the few case studies. So for us, the future is kind of already there. Huh? As I said, William Gibson is a famous science fiction author. And I will introduce what we've been doing recently with Hong Kong Drainage Service Department, Singapore Power Group, Sherry, here in Chongqing, and Zhongshan Public Utilities in Zhongshan. The first case I would like to share is the implementation of our smart O&M platform during the construction. We leverage the BIM as a starting point, and we use the existing BIM, ensure it was properly tagged with asset ID as one of the steps of the ISO of our distilled ISO 55000, and make this ID consistent with usage for operation and maintenance, so that we have a smooth transition from construction to O&M through the BIM. And then lifecycle management has been established through the digitalization of the maintenance plan, which could then be delivered to the maintenance technician in a handy format, while retaining the link with the BIM. So therefore, the BIM can be contextualized and for important maintenance activities, such as, for example, establishing safety procedures, coordinating complex work with contractors, and as a last step, the platform has been integrated with existing SCADA to support predictive maintenance of pumps, which was a critical focus identified through the early establishment of the asset strategy. So the whole approach has been kept very consistent with the principle of asset management through the platform. The second case study is in Chongqing. The iconic Raffles City Chongqing complex is a very large property deployment, 1.2 million square meter to 350 meter towers. So here, Sherry is in charge of operating the cooling system with very strict overseeing from the building operator. So in this setup, digitizing the daily inspections and technical activities was a starting point and the key to compliance. For example, scheduled inspections are channeled to the right technician on his or her mobile for the right day, and the feedback is verified through offline to online interactions, such as QR code scanning for the most critical inspection point. And the work feedback is accessible on the cloud through a dedicated business intelligence setup, which enhances how surely work quality is perceived by its clients, and it develops accountability around transparency principle. And we have to make this discussion easier through also through a strict follow of the being strictly based on the assets structure. And finally, let me introduce you what has been done at the Zhongshan Water. So it's a great example of the project where we started simple, but with the right ISO 55000 setup, one can build the foundation for more ambitious and future achievements. So at the beginning, Zhongshan Water was motivated to enhance its risk prevention and field management processes. And so starting with digitalization of the water, just the water quality inspection, because they serve a population of 3.5 million, so on the strict water quality guidance. And the project led to automatic generation of inspection plan on a daily basis. And this was already quite powerful, since changes in designs can be made and dispatched immediately to the 5 plants using the system. Change become also easily traceable and auditable. And execution feedback is processed immediately, and it decreases the ability of the monitoring tool to react fast to any perceived issue of threat. So that was the initial goal, but this relied on a good application of the ISO 55000 principle, especially the positioning on the asset structure, the maintenance plan, the execution procedure, and so on. So just after we managed to use this data, because after considering this data, we had the idea, jointly with some students from the Shanghai universities, to leverage organization structure data, asset GPS location, asset management plan, and execution performance history, and public data such as traffic condition and CO2 emission, to define the best possible allocation of work through an experimental algorithm aiming at optimizing transportation time and CO2 emission. So to me, this is the true future of O&M, where we have a sound implementation of digital tools that leads to an exciting achievement in this example, in prescriptive analytics. Usually, it's not the other way around. To share a conclusive thought, I would say that there are 3 ideas here. That one, we're saying an increasing complexity, including in the interaction between information systems, and this is a source of value that must be leveraged. And to counter our techno-determinism and simplistic IT approach, O&M excellence principles, such as those embodied in ISO 55000, must be an integral part of the organization strategy and must be reflected in its IT tools. And another point, the last point, is that by letting the technician taking the central place, we can ensure we will capture more of, or most of, the created value that come from technology. So thanks a lot, and thanks for your interest and consideration, and looking forward to the questions.
Thank you very much, Guillaume, for that very interesting presentation on the future of operation and maintenance. I think that is very interesting to hear here, how you see how digital tools can be used for operation and maintenance in the future, and also interesting to see that there will still be an interaction between digital tools and normal operators and technicians. So I think this link is very important. Also interesting to hear about the importance of setting the right methodology and frameworks for the whole process of setting up the right O&M system, and also to implement it and then use it during the operation of the plant. Thank you very much. Please ask questions if you have anyone. We will address them after our last presentation. Okay, so our third speaker today is John Jacobson, who is the Managing Director at Nexity ICT Solutions. John is here today to present on the topic applying artificial intelligence for district energy operation optimization. So welcome, John. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Peter. I will just share my screen here. Is it visible now? So, thank you very much, Peter. And thank you, APUA, for inviting Nexity to this session. I would like to present an example of how artificial intelligence can be applied for operation optimization in the district energy sector. When I talk about district energy, I refer to district heating and district cooling networks. Basically, a heating or cooling network with a centralized production plant that is connected to end consumers via a pipeline network. The example that I would like to present is a software that is named Heat Solutions. It's easy to think that it only applies for heating networks, considering the name of the software and the name of the modules that you see here. But it actually works great with both district heating networks and district cooling networks. I think this solution is a great example of applying artificial intelligence, or more specifically, machine learning for district heating and district cooling networks. This software has algorithms with a long history from Northern Europe systems. There is more than 16 years of improvements behind this software. We at Nexity are working as system integrators of this software, and throughout our implementations, Nexity has also done tailored adjustments to fit the local markets. A little bit more about the software is Heat Solution is a software platform with 4 modules for district heating and district cooling systems. The first module that you see to the very left is HeatFor, which is used for locally optimized weather forecasts. Then we have HeatFor, which is thermal demand forecasting. We have HeatTO, which is temperature optimization, and HeatPO, which is used for production optimization. I will give some explanation on each module on the following slides. So we start with HeatFor. And as I said, this is a software module for locally optimized weather forecasts. Accurate weather forecast improves both the heat demand forecast, the temperature optimization, and production optimization. The HeatFor module accuracy is the key of the performance of Heat Solutions. A simplified description of how this works is that you have weather forecasts from 2 or 3 weather forecast providers. This data is then processed and weighted in an aggregation module to improve the accuracy and the reliability. On top of this, data from local weather station is used for calibration, and this to even further improve the accuracy. The local weather station that you can see here is often installed by the district energy company themselves, so that the maintenance and functionality can be secured. The next module is the HeatFor module. This is a software module for forecasting of the demand in the district heating or cooling network. This is a self-learning and self-calibrating software module. It is based on machine learning algorithms, weather forecast provided by the MET4 module, historical demand in the system, and online measurements from the network. All this combined to automatically produce accurate demand forecast for the district energy system. Accurate demand forecasts are essential in order to optimize and plan the optimal production, and also to utilize thermal storage units in an optimal way. A while back, Heat Solutions was put to a test with another 6 acknowledged provider of forecast softwares for the district energy system. This was a live test where all the 7 forecast providers was hooked up to the same district heating network. All 7 solution providers used the same network data available. And then they run a live test for 3 months before they did a benchmark and presented the result. The tests compared the forecasted demand on a 36-hour horizon with the actual demand. And Heat Solution came out as the winner in this test, which I think can be seen as a receipt of a very well functional system. The HeatTO module is a software module for temperature optimization in district cooling and district heating networks. This module uses heat demand forecast and online measurements from the district energy network to control the supply temperature. This is to make sure that temperature losses, heating or cooling costs, and the CO2 emissions are reduced. At the same time, the quality of the supply is increased. Another benefit with this solution is that it's possible to prevent peak load energy surge complications for heat and power production plants, often called CHP, where you produce both heat and power. This means that more electricity can be produced if the temperature can be reduced in the district heating network. And then the last module is the HeatPO, which is the production optimization software. This is used in pool-operated cooling and heating networks, where you have multiple production facilities. The software uses demand forecast, data about the production assets, and limitations in the heating network to generate a robust production plans which satisfy the thermal demand at a minimal cost. A good example of this is that a production plan with higher cost to produce energy in a situation where the demand increase will only be used as effective production facilities are running on its max capacity. The decision process of this kind of operation is complicated and often not very efficient and cost effective when it's performed with manual controlled operation. This is where the HeatPO module shows its real benefits. Here, I would like to show glimpse of how the software looks like. On this network map, we can see 3 production facilities, or supply points, as it's called here. We can also see 2 critical points on the network map. The critical points is locations in the network where it is identified that the demand has been most difficult to fulfill. Flow data, temperature data, and energy data collected from these critical points will be prioritized in the software to make sure that the supply is sufficient and meet the demands. What happens in the network between the supply point and the critical points is known with help of machine learning. The software knows about the expected demand. It knows about transportation time in the network at a certain flow rate. And it knows, based on weather forecast and calibrations, if production facilities need to increase or reduce the production to optimize the supply. We also see 2 small thumbnail pictures here, which illustrate how it looks when you look at heat load forecast graphs and optimized supply temperature graphs. If data collected from this network is considered unreasonable by the software, the data will be excluded from the calculation and fault marked. And in a case where you have too many faults, an alarm will be raised, and it will require a technician to control the values and maybe replace faulty sensor or whatever happened. In a case where you have communication issues for a longer period of time, the system have pre-programmed operation models to follow. This is to not cause unreasonable set point files to be used by the operation facility. This was my short presentation, and this was what I wanted to show you today. And if anyone wants to know more about this, don't hesitate to reach out to us and get further information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John, for sharing about your heat solutions. I think it's interesting to see the progress of, or example of how AI and machine learning can be used to increase efficiency in heat and cooling networks. And of course, by forecasting weather and consumer behavior, you can get a better sense, and you can plan energy production at an optimized way. And also interesting to see how you can optimize temperatures to reduce losses. And that's, of course, this is also, of course, low-hanging fruits to increase energy efficiency and lower costs. Okay, I think it's time now for the Q&A sessions. So please write your questions, and we will be happy to answer them. I will start here with a question to Maria. And I think also that you can switch on your cameras, all the speakers now. So we create this for the Q&A session. So Maria, I heard about a specific ABB drive technology called ultra low harmonic drives. Could you explain a little bit more about that and what benefits this system has?
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to hear that some of our audience is familiar with this technology. Basically, it comes to the way the drives control motors. So some of the drives, they are, besides controlling the motor, can also introduce electromagnetic noise into the network. And then, of course, depending on how much of this noise is introduced, there might be significant problems with the power supply, so power supply inefficiency, but then also different kinds of power supply interruptions because of harmonics. And ABB ultra-low harmonic drives, that they do not introduce harmonics to the network almost at all. And this is something what improves the power network efficiency actually. So initially drives are used to improve the control process efficiency, but then these ultra-low harmonic drives, they also do not cause any negative effects for the power network supply and improve the power network supply efficiency. So probably this is one of the biggest benefits of ultra-low harmonic drive technology.
Okay, thank you, Maria, for that. So I have a question for Guillaume. Can you give an estimation of the potential of efficiency gain that is possible by improving preventive maintenance, or what is the low-hanging fruit?
Usually, the low-hanging fruit is the implementation of the actual preventive maintenance itself. The point is that very often it's impossible to actually audit that preventive maintenance has been actually implemented as planned. And what we saw is that by the implementation of a system, within less than 1 year, the system has its payback through efficiency that are uncovered just by documenting what's happening and what the execution, how the execution match with the initial maintenance plan. Because otherwise, through Excel or through a distributed system or pen and paper, it's very difficult to have a good idea of the situation and to pinpoint where to realign, where to improve. But I would say that the best feedback we had from a customer is that, well, with your system, I can sleep at night. I have the certainty that I won't go to jail tonight. Because I'm sure of my compliance, and I think this is beyond any ROI, and that's one of the biggest advantage.
Okay, thank you, John, for that. We have a question for John. So, can you elaborate on the benefits of the heat solutions that you included in your presentation?
I think the main benefits is to achieve minimized production costs and minimized distribution costs, and also maximized reliability. Also, compared with traditional GIS system where a payback time is maybe 5-6 years, heat solutions has a payback time of typically 2 years. And it's a fraction of the cost for the system. We usually say that it is about to deliver the right amount of energy with the right temperature level. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, John, for that. Maria, so ABB promotes sustainable solutions. Can you elaborate on sustainability that you're working with, and what do you mean about sustainability, and what is so important when it comes to buildings?
Thank you for the question, Peter. Basically, I see that in quite many cases, people mean under sustainability, energy efficiency, so increased energy savings. But we go, let's say, beyond this, and we start focusing more and more for example, on wise material usage. And I already talked during my presentation about motor technology called synchronous reluctance motor. And one of the biggest benefits of this motor is that besides very high energy efficiency level, the level exceeding I5 energy efficiency class of motors. Besides this, we can also talk about wise material usage because this motor technology doesn't have any kind of magnets in its design, and rare earth magnets specifically. And as you know, when it comes to rare earth magnets, often used in, for example, permanent magnet motors. So the extraction of these magnets, the production process is very energy consuming, and then of course it affects sustainability in a negative way. And when it comes to recycling, it's also quite a complex process in case of rare earth magnets. So in case of CNRM, there is no basically any kind of magnet material used, and therefore the manufacturing process consumes less energy, but then recycling is not that problematic. And then one more comment from my side on services. So we push a lot this digital agenda and digital services. And one of the benefits of those from a sustainability perspective is that the maintenance becomes much easier, and we can almost completely eliminate the regular maintenance when you have to go to a specific place where your equipment is installed and check it manually. So digital services, they enable the transparency, and basically maintenance teams, they might not need to travel at all. Well, of course, if we don't talk about some failure, but rather this regular checkups. And then of course it substantially increases the sustainability from this perspective as well.
Thank you very much for that, Maria. So, and very good to move to Guillaume for another O&M question. So we got a question here on, and maybe you can elaborate a little bit on the predictions you have for future in terms of O&M and the use of digital technology, including AI and machine learning. And so maybe you can elaborate a little bit more on that.
Yeah, what I see is the early project we are having, and it's more and more it's a lot about IoT and AI solution, a little bit what Maria was mentioning, and the challenge we have here from that we see as part of the future, that would be the ability to orchestrate this different flow of data. Because each solution have its own predictive module almost. You will have one for the bearing, then you have another for the flows, where another. Because the capability of machine learning are for very narrow scenarios, so you need to multiply them. So the ability here, there is a key strategic ability to orchestrate these different scenarios, and to know when they are needed, because they also rely quite a lot of work in terms of failure mode identification. Because if the failure mode are not identified, then it becomes very difficult to apply AI model. So it's come back to the ability to prioritize certain scenario and certain assets, and that's I think that would be one of the key stuff the key activities to be prioritized for the organization. Of course, this needs to be let's say plugged with the as we said, the mobility. We say now here there is we see a sharp contrast between the project we're having in Europe, where mobility is just taking off right now, and the project we have been having in Asia and China, where now mobility is like it must be there. There is no question about it. Every single product must have mobility. And here also we come back to a similar challenge, because we cannot have one app for each of the machine. We cannot have one app for each of the systems. So here comes the ability to discuss between different platforms, so that the technician in the end has what he needs. So it's the same problem but in reverse system. So yeah, that would be I think that would be that's how I see in the near future the ability to orchestrate all these different sources.
Thank you very much, Guillaume, for that. I think we are running out of time, but I think we have one more question here for John. Can you explain how the heat solutions systems are delivered? Or is it a cloud-based software?
It is a cloud-compatible software. Many clients choose to have it installed in the cloud, but in some markets, due to local laws and regulations, they either require a local cloud solution, or in some cases also that they have to have it locally installed, and it's possible to do all three of them. It's possible to run them on local servers within the client's data center, and it runs both on Windows servers or Linux servers. For the HeatFor module, though, it is a bit different. This module is not in control by the client. It is installed on redundant cloud servers maintained by the developer. There you can choose to either have a communication from the heat solution server directly to these cloud servers, or you have a data exchange gateway in between. We are very flexible and make sure to in all cases meet the client's cybersecurity policies, basically.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, John, for that. Okay, so I think that we have to conclude the session now. And thank you very much. I want to thank all speakers, Maria, Guillaume, and John, for taking part and for contributing to this session. It has been great to have you on, and you all presented the 3 great presentations on topics that are very related to future urban energy. I want to mention that all presentations and the recording of this session will be uploaded on the website of the ASEAN Energy and Utilities Week. So with that, I want to hand over to Kun Pran. And we look forward to see you all again in another session. Over to you, Pran.
Yes, so thank you very much, computers. Quite a great session, and also thank you to all the speakers for your valuable time. So I believe that all the audience, they have learned about your great solutions, technologies, also some case study, and also you are sharing some ideas from all the speakers. So for the APUEA, so they'll be having the conference during the ASEAN Sustainable Energy Weeks as well. The topic will be the efficient urban energy seminar. So it will be happen in the ASEAN Sustainable Energy Week, which will be held on 14 to 16 of October in Bangkok and Thailand. So if you have a chance, please visit or follow us on our social media channel, so you don't miss any update of the information. Okay, so coming up next, after this webinar, we will be having the ASEAN's Data Center for Energy Management seminars coming up at 4:15 Bangkok time. So please stay tuned, and also who in this all the audience in this platform, if you would like to continue watching, please leave this room first and then go back to the conference room page, and you click at the ASEAN Data Center for Energy Management. Okay, so another one is our next activities is today is the last day that you can have a chance to visit our marketplace, and then you will be able to use the call and chat functions. So if you see any company in our online marketplace and you would like to learn more about their products, so you just can simply click the video calls and starting to chat with the exhibitor there. So the marketplace is continue to open until 9th of July. So thank you very much once again for joining us to this session. So see you again in next sessions. Thank you. Bye-bye.